Is the Niners Super Bowl window beginning to close? I mean, let me just list the players that were starters or key contributors that the Niners have lost already in free agency. Mike McGlinchey, Jimmy Garoppolo, Samson Ebukam, Jimmy Ward, Emmanuel Mosley, Hassan Ridgeway, Daniel Brunskill, Aziz Al-Shaair, and Charles Omenihu. And they're also going to lose Robbie Gould and Ross Dwelly, the great, and Tyler Kroft, who's also really, really, really good. Kidding. But that's like a lot of guys. Of course, they have draft picks and they have good, but wow, I thought they're in win now mode. I don't know, man. What do you think? Is this it? Is this like the last dance? 2023. The last dance with this group. I mean, Trent Williams thought for maybe a minute and a half about retiring this offseason. How many more years is he get? Is this the last dance?
I don't think it's closing still because, like we said the other week about how the NFC is pretty damn weak. Like, it's pretty atrocious. And as we watch the Rams continue to strip away from their star players, it makes the NFC West more of a lock that they're going to host at least one playoff game and probably win a playoff game next year. I don't think it's closing. I feel like we ask this every year, and I think I've said yes once, and I always look like a fool because they continue to go on runs. I will say this and give credence to this. The question is, I think this will be probably the last year we see the most stacked roster on them, because I think as the cap goes up in terms of Nick Bosa's hit, Debo's hit, who knows if Brandon's going to get extended, his hit, all those contracts that are going to come up, they're going to start hitting more in 2024, 2025. So these same amount of players that you're seeing, especially last year, it's probably going to end. Instead of having the 10 great stars, it's probably going to be like 7. And it's going to slowly strip away. So this is going to make more of a pressure on Trey Lance and Brock Purdy to be those guys that can really get to that final last hump. Because, Niners have proven over and over again, but they can get there. They can get far with just quarterback who can take care of, be serviceable, uplift from here and there. They just need those 2 quarterbacks to be the last one to give them past that last final lap or 2. And that's all they really need. But I don't think it's closing yet.
Well, let me just lay it out for you. Paint the picture. Javon Hargrave's 30. Eric Armstead's going to be 30. Kittle's going to be 30. Juszczyk's like 33. Trent Williams, 35. That's the core of the team. Those are the leaders of the team. And at that age, you don't know what they're going to be in 2 years from now. So maybe some of them will still be around, but maybe some of them start to fall off. Maybe Armstead started to fall off last year. We don't know. So it feels like if they're so invested in this core, they've kept them around for 4 or 5 years. If they really feel like they can seal the deal with this core, this is a good year to do it. Because again, what is Javon Hargrave going to be like in 2024? What is Armstead? Kittle? Don't know. Hopefully they're good. Even Trevarius Ward, he's a corner entering his late 20s. Corners fall off quickly. You have no idea when he's going to mess up his hamstring or just lose a little bit of speed or whatever.
Yeah, I get it. I feel like I'd be more inclined to lean that closing side if they had they were like a one and done in the playoffs. Like, oh my God, this window's closing. Now we've seen it. Right. It's really bad. Because I don't think this year was any worry or doubt. If you're looking into the 10 steps ahead, into the future type of thing, it's well, are you guys going to be able to hit? This is where the draft picks from last year, when I was giving them slack about dude, what did they even get from the 2022 draft class? Nothing. They got nothing. I mean, they didn't expect Purdy. He was a miracle. Outside of that, what did they really get? Spencer Burford or something or whatever. I mean, they didn't really get any real contributions. Sure, Drake Jackson maybe had a couple snaps this year that were impressive, but other than that, that's where the 2022 class is going to be in clutch. This upcoming draft with all the picks they have is going to come in clutch, and how you're going to replace them. This is where, like you said, this is how the Chiefs maintain their Super Bowl window. Aside from having Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes, is they're able to fill out an adequate roster. So again, this is why this is. Hold on
though. When you're trying to replenish in the draft, it helps to have a first round pick, a second round pick. The Niners are replenishing, but it's all these late picks, and it's man, those might be for the future. Those might be guys who contribute in 2 or 3 years. No, they are. Anyways. But they're not necessarily instant contributors. And it's that might be for to me, this Niners team has followed the Rams blueprint very closely. And we see what the Rams have to do right now. And I wouldn't rule out that the Niners eventually have to get rid of a lot of these older guys and take the dead cap hits just to create some cap space. Cut Eric Armstead in a year or two. Cut or Trent Williams retire. I could see a lot of like a totally reshifting, a retooling of the roster in a year or two, and they still be good because they'll still have Bosa and Warner and some other players, but it's not going to be necessarily the same window. I don't know.
Well, it'll be fine if Armstead's gone because they were able to get by adequately with that defense when he was gone. I mean, assuming his body does straight to break down, he's the top one. So you're naming him. I'm just like, no. I mean, we saw them skate by without him. Trent Williams, they've been able to skate by. It's only been like 2 to 4 games, right? But that's still going to be a hard one to replace, right? Who's another one you mentioned? Kittle. Kittle only missed like a couple games last year, right? You just wonder if he's going to really stand on to that foundational beat. This is why I said the Niners, an underrated position they need to look at is tight end, whether it's in the draft. That's probably going to be a draft that they go towards, and hopefully someone that's more skewed towards receiver that you build up as a blocker later down the road. Because receiving, if you have just 2 receivers, man, that's going to be mismatch hell. That's going to be amazing. So hopefully they do. That's the one thing I think they're going to do. That's going to be the first seed that they plant behind Kittle.
Let me just, the Niners are very good at drafting, and maybe a lot of, like 11 of these rookies are going to come in and kill it. But let me just point out, okay, the Niners are a win now team. They're trying to win the Super Bowl now. They're turning over more than 20% of their roster, and they have no first or second round pick. And they don't have cap space to go out and sign a bunch of guys. So far, they've signed Javon Hargrave and Sam Darnold. Am I missing some? Have they brought back Jake Brendel? Great. But, I mean, they've lost like 10 dudes. They're going to lose more, and they're all going to be replaced with pick 107, pick 142, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like, or guys that were picked last year. Hey, Nick Zakelj, let's see what you got. Colton McKivitz is supposed to be a starter on a Super Bowl winning team. I'm sorry. I can't take that seriously.
That's the biggest concern right now on their team.
I can't take that seriously.
Easily off top. It's right tackle.
When you look at Philly, when you look at Philly or Kansas City, those are teams that have no weaknesses in the trenches on either side of the ball. They are strong at every single position on both sides of the trenches. Niners can't say that.
They lost a couple of players too. I mean, while it wasn't the offensive line, but they're losing a good chunk of not good chunk. They're using a haul of the defense. That defense is going to drop. And Jonathan Gannon's gone. Say what you want about him, but it worked for that defense. I don't know how the hell that's going to work over there. It's just, I say with the 49ers right now, the biggest concern, biggest question mark so far early on, overreaction, underreaction, whatever, is the right tackle spot. Like, where are they going to fit that? They were even looking at the market. That's why last week I tried playing devil's advocate and I couldn't take myself seriously about re-signing McGlinchey. Is where the hell are you going to find that right tackle spot? You're just going to throw a rookie in there? Like, oh God, is that really wise? Considering you're going to be picking third, not even maybe they package to trade up and get a more polished prospect. I haven't really looked at like tackles that way because I don't really like looking at offensive line prospects in that degree versus the skill players. So it's just,
here's what they're going to say. Here's what they're going to do at right tackle. They're going to say, we've been working around Mike McGlinchey's, we've been working around Mike McGlinchey for 5 years. Okay. They know what Mike McGlinchey is. That's why they didn't try to re-sign him. If they can work around him, they're going to say Colton McKivitz really isn't that much worse. And it's like, fine, dude, but can't you improve? Can't you get a good right tackle? Because you haven't had one since you got here. And I think you got to have 5 good offensive linemen, not 3, to win a Super Bowl. Maybe I'm wrong.
My thing is just like, sure, you're right on that, but where are they going to get that if not free agency? I don't see anyone in free agency that's like fine or even worse.
They should have done a better job of drafting and developing. They should have done a better job of drafting and developing.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles have drafted. The Eagles have drafted and developed every single starter on their offensive line, and they lost Javon Hargrave, but they drafted Jordan Davis last year in the first round. I mean, they anticipated this. They're good.
Like 2018, 2019, I think they drafted a left tackle, Andre Dillard.
But they had Jordan Mailata, who they drafted later.
So then I think they just keep retooling and stuff. I think that's one thing that's like the Niners are recommitting to, and I think so. Javon Hargrave is a signal of what they're trying to do. Is like we're trying to like recommit our identity into the trenches, and that's why I think with the draft is really going to pull in. That's where you have last year's again draft class, like you said. I know it's not ideal. You got the Jason Poes, you got the Nick Zakelj, whatever, the Kalia Davises. I think that's where you're gonna have to look at that last year's draft class and hope they start getting some type of impact. But that's
who needs to step up? You know who needs to step up big time? Drake Jackson. He needs to be good. They took him over Cam Jurgens, who's going to be the starting right guard for Philly this year, and he's going to be their starting center when Kelsey retires. And the thing is, like, you take a defensive lineman Defensive linemen a lot of times are 2 down players, 1 down players. They're specialists. They're run defenders. They're pass rushers. Offensive linemen are 3 down players. They on the field every single snap, and they play offense. Like, so Drake Jackson needs to be really good. He needs to justify that pick because they took him over some good players. Drake. And there's a huge void at left D end or whatever D end you want to call that. It's as big of a void as the right tackle spot. Who is going to play that? Who? Drake?
Oh, yes,
better be. Yeah. It's a big one.
It's really bad. We talk about the quarterbacks getting hurt. That's one place you would like to be solidified at.
Yeah.